Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to DreamHack Masters. I hope you enjoyed your break. I know we certainly did here at ESL Studios Australia, and we are excited to get into the action. Second series of the night is going to be Renegades taking on Chiefs, and whoa, it's potentially going to be a scorcher, and I really hope it is. Renegades, they've been looking very, very good recently, and we are expecting yet another 2-0. Looking like we're probably going to be going home early, but I would like to be upset, and I would like to see the Chiefs perform. What are your thoughts on the Chiefs?
Yeah, there's definitely an opportunity that they can steal a map if they actually turn up with the individuals and show us something impressive. You know, there's real upset potential. I don't think they can win the series or anything like that, but I'd like to see them get double digits. I'd like to see them try and get a bit clever with the veto and maybe try to catch Renegades off guard. But it's going to take, you know, not just them playing well. Renegades will probably have to underperform and take this series a little bit lightly.
Yeah, I mean, not only take it lightly, I mean, they also have to go into the map veto and maybe experiment with their own map veto a little bit. Chiefs, this is a lineup that's completely new. They're going to have to be revamping their map pool as well as which ones they're going to as well. So I don't even think they can win the veto at this stage. For all intents and purposes, this is a completely new lineup.
Yeah, no, you can't. The only thing you can do in this veto really is just try to get yourself a cheeky, sneaky map, you know?
Like what?
Like anything. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what map it is. You just have to, like, you don't necessarily pick it because Renegades is bad at it or anything. You just try to be like, oh, Renegades plays like this on Inferno, and we've been practicing Inferno, and then you try to do some sneaky stuff.
Look, Pilly, I need to remind you that we spoke to the Renegades, and it was Dexter. He let us in on a secret, even though, Vertigo is their perma veto, they have been practicing it.
Oh, that's a secret?
That's
cool.
It was a secret he let everyone know, and apparently, like, if Chiefs know that, like, there was a chance that they could have gone to Chiefs, you know, that they play it, or they were playing it at least with the current, with the X iteration.
Here's the thing, right? Dexter, that could have been like a 10,000 IQ play. He says that because he knows that everyone's listening in, and he goes, oh yeah, we've been practicing Vertigo. In reality, they haven't. So all these teams, they're really scared of this Vertigo pick, which is never going to eventuate. But could it actually be he's playing reverse mind games, and he knows people think that he's doing that? So in reality, they're practicing Vertigo. No one really knows. That's why he's a mastermind of Renegades.
Well, who are they practicing against? That's the question.
Maybe just against themselves. Who knows?
Yeah, lots of dry running. I'm sure that'll get him over the line. Yeah.
Worked for Immunity back in the day, actually. Funnily enough.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, I'm speechless. Kev, good job.
That's an old Overpass story. So that was like the first time Immunity whipped out Overpass. They actually did a lot of dry runs on it, and they never played it officially against anyone. So a little fun story from about 5 years ago now.
Well, there you go. There is Kev, the chief historian. Speaking of the Chiefs, let's have a quick look at their lineup before we head into the matchup. So it is going to be Apoc, Dart, Humongous, Vexite, Soju, and Zeph. So there is 3 new names here, which you guys at home might not be used to seeing. That's going to be Vexite, Soju, and Zeph, the 3 new additions to the Chiefs lineup, and we haven't seen them play yet. So I'm very excited to see what they are able to achieve here in this second series of the day.
Yeah. The only like big question mark and wildcard factor really is Vexite. I think obviously we've seen quite a lot from Zeph on multiple different lineups. We've seen him on Ground Zero, we've seen him on Paradox, we've seen him on Order. We've also seen a fair bit of Soju on that old Avant roster, so we know what these players are capable of. Also Legacy as well, you know, we know that they can play at this level. It's just the big question mark is obviously Vexite. He's a very, very young player. He's only really played in MDL and some lower sort of tier competitions. So this is going to be the first real big step up for a player like this, and it's not an easy team to be stepping up against, for sure.
No, absolutely not. One of your first tests in a series, best of 3 series is Renegades. It can't be a harder test domestically, in all honesty. But look, if there's one positive thing to take out of all of this is that so far it looks like every single young and up-and-comer CSGO player in Australia has an alias starting with V. It was Valiant's last time for Order. He came out of the Div 2 teams, and he's looking very impressive at the moment. It's taken him a while to finally hit the stride, but he definitely looks solid at the top level at the moment. Now the question is whether or not Vexite is the goods as well.
Yeah, well, hopefully we will find out whether he is the goods or the nots, because from what I've seen, Vexite, his name's Declan, by the way. I know him on a first-name basis because we type like that. Anyway, he is sharp, he's young, and he is going to be the next generation of talent in the Australian CS scene. You said Valiance was in question, and he's today shown himself that he is very much up there. He's been around for a little while now, and it's Vexite's time to shine, and it all starts here. Imagine going up against Renegades and causing an upset in your first debut in a DreamHack.
That'd be pretty cool. I'd be very happy with myself. I'd celebrate and then have to sit until September to celebrate my birthday. So unfortunate for Vexite. At least he's able to play a couple of officials here. But that, I mean, honestly, just looking at how disrupted their competitive/practice schedule must be, because some officials he can't play and then some officials he can play. So how are you meant to... I think September/October is probably when this full Chiefs lineup is going to be showing its true strength, in all honesty, because it'll give them enough time to get more practice on the board, get more used to getting your setups ready, your executes as well, everyone's behavior. At the moment, yeah, it's just, I'm just taking a surface glance, so to speak. I'm not taking too much out of what I'm going to see tonight.
Yeah, well, another character we have to have a look at is the man coming out of retirement. That is Zeph as well, Charlie Dodd. The man has had some pretty decent stats over time, rocking that 1.09 rating. He did used to play for Ground Zero before retiring, but he had not had enough Counter-Strike to retire at such a young age. He is back, and this time playing for the Chiefs.
Yeah, he's a very, very strong, sort of stable rifler, provides a lot of firepower if you use him correctly in a team. I think he was very underutilized in Order, wasn't really put in the right roles, so he wasn't really allowed to shine. And I'm hoping that, you know, we've already seen him step into a Paradox and literally win a LAN with that lineup and then leave, and then haven't really been able to do anything comparable since. We've seen him on Ground Zero have some pretty good results there, like at least for the context of that team, and he always performed fairly solidly on that roster. So he's definitely a player that I'm wanting to keep my eye on, and I actually want to see him step up onto a team that's going to have, you know, relevant results in terms of, you know, actually becoming a competitor and actually taking some big series. And this is a big first opportunity to try to do something of that nature. It's not really a realistic expectation in these circumstances, though.
No, 100% not, but you can do the damage. I mean, ever since he first started playing professionally, he's just always been known as a bit of a young gun. So kind of like what Valence was maybe about 2 years ago, should I say, when he was first picked up by Order. Unfortunately, as Mitch said, the roles didn't really work out for him, was clashing at that stage. Order had too many very similarly aggressive riflers, which you could kind of say at the moment that Estilo or Alistair would play that similar aggressive styles. So look, I'm happy to see him with the Chiefs and see what damage that he can do. I think he pairs off really nicely with Soju as well. Soju's you're much more kind of, you let him anchor a very critical position. He sits tight, he throws the utility, he locks it down, plays pretty smart, and then you have Zeph who just charges in and kills people because he's really sharp.
Yeah, well, it is a combination which should work out. You know, when Zeph did join that Order roster as well, he had some pretty big shoes to fill, you know. There was the big man leaving that lineup, and he had to fill them, which is a bit unfortunate.
I don't know if Leaz's shoes are really big. He's a bit of a beanpole. I don't think his feet's that big.
Oh,
Carries hard on the server, don't get me wrong.
He's
but
got pretty big feet. I've seen them.
Fair enough.
Big shoes,
Yeah.
you know. You know where I'm going?
No.
Very confident gameplay, that's what I was going to say. Anyway, we had a quick discussion on Soju, and Soju as well, he is very, very strong. He's a very intelligent player. He hasn't been in a team for a little while now. Oh, he was actually in a team. It just was sort of like a second-rate team, whereas now he's coming back to the Chiefs again, and hopefully this is where he's going to be able to prove himself and leave his mark.
Well, I'm pretty sure he was playing on the same roster as Vexite for a little while, so maybe he's had some sort of sway, or maybe that's a lineup that Chiefs are sort of keeping their eye on in some regard. Maybe that's why they decided to sort of farm their talent from. Maybe that's a team that they practiced against. It's going to be interesting. I don't think Soju's really going to be a massive difference kind of maker in this team. In my mind, he sort of fills the same role as some of the people that he's replacing in terms of, you know, just being able to be a consistent sort of stable force. Maybe he'll be more consistent than some of the people he's replacing. It really comes down to the other two pickups as to whether they're really going to boost the firepower of the Chiefs, because I feel like that's what they were lacking.
All right, well, enough about the Chiefs. It's time to talk about the raid boss of the region. It is Renegades, who are going to be probably the victor here. You know, they are the favorites. They're there for a reason, and it is going to be very tough for the Chiefs to do anything against this lineup. Look at it. It's star-studded. You've got Malta, Sicko, Dexter, Ints, and Hats. You know them, you love them, and you love to see them perform.
Yeah, pretty much. That's all you can say about this roster. It's star-studded. You can trace every single one of their players and their historic highs, from the domestic dominator of Hats to what a lot of people have said washed out after the Winter Fox experiment, to now the best player inside Oceania by far, hands down, in Dexter. So every single one of them a storied history. Also for Inns as well. I mean, a little note about Inns is that he had to sit on the sidelines a while, like a long time ago, for 6 months, and he still came back. And still has performed. So it's not as if these guys have just come out of nowhere. It's a very, very long story for a lot of them.
Well, they've certainly performed enough to be known as that top team in the region,
Yes.
having that #1 slot, or getting all of these international opportunities, which sadly they can't at the moment. But they are able to take out a DreamHack, which is a pretty big tick on their box of achievements. So, you know, going into this lineup today, or into this matchup rather, what kind of maps do you think we're going to be looking at seeing?
It's going to be pretty hard to evaluate because Renegades has shown from time to time that they're a team that doesn't really care that much sometimes, depending on the mood they're in about going wide on the map pool.
Yeah.
Sometimes they'll just go, all right, well, we're playing like a team like Rooster or something, an aim-based team, and they'll be like, oh, Inferno, Dust 2, Mirage, yeah, sounds good. And then they just 2-0 them. So, I mean, it really depends on the mentality of a team. Some teams will really prefer that style of going wide on the map pool and trying to out-tactic, out-teamwork your opponent, and just try to push them onto maps they're uncomfortable with, where I feel like Renegades, you know, not entirely, but I'd say like probably 70% of the way there is more of a team that's going to rely on outskilling your opponent and just beating them in the mid to late round.
I think it's for any domestic opponent, they need to beat Renegades twice, right? First, they have to beat Renegades when they're playing default, because Renegades are going to come into this, they're just going to play stock standard, they're just going to keep running whatever works for them. And then as soon as they start losing maybe a few too many rounds, they go, all right, it's time to start winning. Let's actually bring out the coordinated strats. Let's actually read what the opponent's doing and counter it from that point onwards, which is always a scary part. So,
yeah, I mean, you can't really ever count them out. Just look at what happened in that order game. They're
Exactly.
up 1-0, up 12-3, still didn't manage to put it away.
Yeah, it was a pretty rough situation. Well, we had a quick discussion about the maps, and that brings us to the veto, which is going to decide what maps we will be seeing in the second series of the night here for DreamHack Masters. So let's just jump straight into it. What maps will be banned out? Look, there's going to be no Vertigo and Chiefs. Actually, I have no idea what Chiefs map pool is right now because they've gone for a complete restructure.
Yeah, it's going to be... I'm questioning it. I don't know necessarily what they're going to ban. I would imagine something a bit wider on the map pool, maybe like an overpass or a nuke, but
I think they'll ban train.
No idea. Yeah, maybe a train.
They'll ban train 100%, I think, because overpass would be something where... Yeah, Renegades don't really flex to it first pick. Obviously, they've played the map for a very, very long time, but I think overpass is kind of like they'll let it slide for now.
The thing is that they've shown strong opposition to playing overpass in the past with their
fair
last
enough.
lineup, and it's still the same leadership. It's still the same, you know, leadership trio,
still have
a couple of people. So, you know, if he's just decided I don't want to play this map, that's not going to change necessarily just with a couple of different roster changes.
All right, well, let's bring up the bans. What are we not going to be seeing? So, bang on the money.
Okay.
Overpass and
Train.
train. That's left Vertigo in there. So, maybe we might see a little bit of Vertigo in this matchup. What are your thoughts now? That was an interesting ban.
Renegades banning out train.
Yeah.
That is...
I don't know. I think maybe it must be like something to do with practice or the fact that Chiefs is looking good on this map or something like that. If it's not that case, it's just the fact that Renegades is, I guess, trying to go that extra step further and just play maps that they're not comfortable with, potentially get themselves onto a Vertigo or play something that they're not comfortable with just to give themselves that extra challenge.
Yeah, I mean, can't disagree with that. Just normally Renegades, they're pretty strong in train, so banning it out themselves, like you said, we never know what the scrim results are like or what the practice is like between teams, so might be a case of they're just banning it because there's something else that's going on. Maybe they're banning it just
The team
because.
that they're playing against is a massive question mark. So the fact that there's a very, very weird veto, you know, you can't. It's not necessarily something that you can quantify.
Yeah, so all that said, where do you think we are going to go with the picks? I'm thinking there's going to be a Vertigo picked just to maybe spice things up. And probably a Mirage.
Maybe a nuke. But
yeah,
I don't know if Chiefs...
I could see nuke coming in there.
Chiefs still like picking nuke and playing it, but against Renegades, once again, it's a case of you always have to play to your strengths. Wouldn't be surprised to see a nuke, wouldn't be surprised to see a Vertigo. Heck, we could even go down to Inferno as a first pick, or even Dust 2. It's so open at this moment.
Well, let's have a look at where we're heading. It is going to be Inferno to kick things off.
Okay.
So that's going to be Chiefs pick and Dust 2 for Renegades. Don't know how I forgot that one. That is pretty much their stock standard bread and butter of their map pool. So potential for Vertigo to be in there as the third. Oh, what are your thoughts?
I mean, this is looking like more so the fact that Renegades has picked Dust 2, that they're kind of fairly confident that Chiefs won't be wanting to play Vertigo in a matchup like this. They're a pretty new roster. Maybe they haven't gotten that wide on the map pool, so maybe they're feeling pretty safe in the fact that they can leave it to that second phase to ban if that's what they want to do, or maybe they could get Chiefs to ban it in the second phase themselves. It'll definitely be interesting to see what the third is going to be, but with the way that this is coming towards the middle of the map pool, I wouldn't be surprised to see like a Mirage as a third or something like that.
Yeah, I was about to say, it depends on if Renegades want to play Mirage, if it ever gets to that, or if they decide to do something a little bit more different. So.
Yeah, well, let's not beat around the bush any longer. What is the third and final map going to be? If we get there, no Vertigo, no Mirage, it's going to be Nuke. So a good-looking map pool there. Inferno, Dust 2, and Nuke. Potential for 2 nukes tonight. I'm excited to see that. And also, over for these first 2 maps on Inferno, we are going to see Renegades starting on the CT side, whereas over on Dust 2, Chiefs have opted to pick for the start on the T side first.
Yeah, and I think that's worked out somewhat for Renegades. If they were, fairly confident that they didn't want to be playing Train against the Chiefs here, they've actually gotten the Chiefs to ban Vertigo in that second phase. So they've essentially forced their opponents to ban out an extra map, and they've been given the choice between Mirage and Nuke, and they've decided to go wider on the map pool towards that third pick against a sort of newer team. The old sort of Chiefs roster, and some of these players even might have been comfortable on Nuke, but there's no guarantees that they're going to have the depth that they need to be able to make it there, even if it does get to a third map, which Inferno Dust 2, I mean, it's got to happen on Inferno, surely.
I mean, it has to start with the first map because they got to take it. Otherwise, Dust 2, you can see Renegades just bullying them out of the server.
Yeah, well, let's see if the bullying does happen. We have a short break before we get into all the action. So, ladies and gentlemen, don't go anywhere. We'll be back with the second series of the night soon.
Flashbang's effective. They have got through the smoke wall here, but Chris J, he is the final boss of the bomb site.
Now Spitty and Chris J to keep Mousesports alive. Oh, Chris! He's found 3. It's down to a 2-on-2. Chris, can he close this with an ace? Oh my God!
Can they actually close this out? Boom, Chris.
Fantastic way to start, and no scopes on him himself. Absolutely saving Mousesports.
Hey, it's me, Lily from AT&T. I'm back, working from home, and here to help.
Hey Lily, I'm hearing a lot about 5G. Should I be getting excited?
Depends. Are you gonna want faster speeds?
I will.
More reliability?
Oh, also yes.
Better response times?
Definitely.
Are you gonna be making sourdough bread?
Oh, is that 5G related?
No, it's just like, why is everyone making sourdough now? But yes, you're gonna want 5G.
AT&T is building 5G on America's best network. Visit att.com to learn more.
my curse, so right, so wrong. Bad moves in the heat, tearing up the scene. I'm disco dynamite. Bad moves in the heat, DJ drop the beat. Come on now. Roll with the crazy dance like 1980. Roll with me, baby, you ain't gonna save me. Hit the floor. Turn, I walk and cruise around. Hellcat silver sun, I'm gonna tear it down. Bad moves in the heat, tearing up the scene. I'm disco dynamite. Bad moves in the heat, DJ drop the beat.
Chilly night and a little bit of Inferno to heat things up and bring us the action for the start of the second series here up against Chiefs. Renegades, they are looking very, very hot recently, and I'm sure they are going to be taking this one. Even though it's the Chiefs map pick, Renegades will get to start on their chosen side, which will be the CT side, and that is going to be rough. Chiefs, they need to start to set the pace, they need to set the tone, but running into a Renegades defense is not a prosperous situation.
Yeah, I mean, those Betway odds as well. It's a pretty big yikes for me. Chiefs, they've been encountered out of the series for good reason. But look, there's always a chance, right? We're always talking about the 1%, 2%. What if this happens and X happens? Still a chance. Inferno is always the case of as long as you enter the small site correctly or you get your entries across, then you can just pretty much win. Either from a 3-on-3 situation or a 3-on-5 or a 3-on-4 situation. You can break it down to a 3-on-2 position a lot of the time. It's down to that map control in Inferno.
Yeah, I think Inferno is always kind of an interesting to see it in the first two picks because it's right in the middle of the map pool. A lot of teams are pretty comfortable on it, and we've seen a lot of underdog teams fall pretty flat picking it. Starting off on the T side, it's sometimes a little bit difficult, especially when you're versing an experienced team that just shuts you out of banana and really limits your options on that T side. It can be quite hard to get rolling.
Well, it is Inferno to kick things off. It's going to be Pilski and Karath to bring you all the action. Boys, take us away.
Where are we going?
We're going to Inferno. We're going to the streets of Italy. We're going to be seeing what Chiefs have on that T side, utility-wise. 2 sets of grenades. Renegades, actually, also 2 sets of grenades.
Turns out 2 sets, that is the standard. All right, let's see what they're going to do with those 2 sets of grenades. So we do have a Molotov, handful of flashes. Chiefs just grouped up towards the T stairs area with a couple of them. Little goose through the wall. Lucky he didn't kelp that one in open space, so he would have lost a hell of a lot more HP than just 22. Now Chiefs slowly moving through the map, moving up banana mostly after just applying a little bit of pressure towards second mid. They've taken banana by just pretty much crab walking up there, not really giving any tells to the CTs, not really using any of that utility. And it's looking like it will just be an execute onto this B bomb site.
Is the problem, though. There are 2 HE grenades for the CTs to use as well, so as the smoke grenades are being deployed, Malta's trying to find the timing shots. Inns actually is the one able to just pick one up through the smoke, and they're both lining up their HE grenades to try to counter the plants by the looks of it. Out comes the sound cue, and wow. Apoc Dart is just deleted.
Just airstrike the double nade from Renegades, denying the plant. It was the armorless player who did put that one down, so a lot easier to secure that kill. Now Renegades setting up for this retake.
Yep, Soju takes first contact. Crossfire has been set up, but now 3 CTs coming out of coffins, and there's still one at CT. It's all down to Soju right now, but he's got no armor. He's trying to fight, trying to stay alive. Not going to work. Renegades already had the numbers advantage early on, a 5-on-3. Successful retake. At least Chiefs get the bomb plant down.
Yeah. Was a pretty successful strat in that regard, just getting that bomb plant. can allow them to potentially force up here or just invest in some deagles or try and do a bit of damage to the CT economy potentially. Only a P250 and a nade though, so they are playing this one very passive economically, making sure that they can get all the pieces of utility, as that is quite important on the T side of Inferno. And already you're starting to see it, Renegades really establishing this banana control early on. I do want to see Chiefs actually try to fight for that pretty quickly, or go for a pretty quick set strat in the first round. Otherwise, they could potentially be running into some problems. You definitely don't want to be conceding banana control too early on in the half and give the CTs the confidence to take it consistently.
Interesting to note that Dex is actually back to the A4. Used to actually be one of the rare players playing with the Sunstem 4, but he's actually gone back to the Loud variant.
We've seen a lot of players in Asia actually using the A1S lately, particularly Vici Gaming. A bunch of those guys love to use that A1S. I think Allman and Jam Young, a few of those lads
How can you
use the A1S.
How can you trace the enemy if there are no traces?
True. I think one or two of the Tai Lu lads were using it as well, if I remember correctly. Either way, Chiefs making their way up banana, now starting to get a bit of a wriggle on into this B bomb site. Not really getting anything for it though. Looking for damage and not really inflicting any.
Yep, it's pretty much a very routine cleanup from Renegades, as they don't even drop a single gun. Had to use a little bit of utility though, so I have to reinvest in that. Not really enough cash in the bank accounts for the bonus round, Mitch.
Well, on the CT side or
on the CT side?
No, I think they're just gonna. I mean, I think they do have enough. It depends how many of these MP9s connect and how many kills they get. Let's see. I'm keen to see if Chiefs is really going to fight for this Nana control, and they are. I like to see this. They are just very much contesting this part of the map, not allowing Renegades to just bully them out of the map. It will be the re-Molotov into Olof. They are really fighting for this. You can see Renegades starting to push down, but the counter flashes from T-stairs.
Oh, Molten nearly makes it through, but Zeph had an idea what's going on. This is really good for Chiefs right now.
This is excellent. This is really, really fantastic. A lot of teams haven't been able to deal with this banana control that Renegades has been throwing. Given, you know, they did have pretty lackluster weapons trying to take those fights, but I do like to see that concentration of players over there. 3 players just stopping them from taking that control, stopping that aggression early on, and just saying you're not going to be taking this part of the map for the free. It sets a tone, it sets a precedent for the rest of the half.
I think it's important as well that they barely took any damage while doing it, because normally you see a lot of people when they take Nana, they'll still cop a lot, but look at that. They're still relatively healthy. 84 on Apoctard and 99 on Soju.
And Chiefs, you can see in this 5-on-4, they're expecting the aggression to come out from Renegades. They're a team that, you know, even in the disadvantageous situations, they do like to be aggressive. They do like to bully their opponents, but you don't want to be running the clock down too late. You've already got 30 seconds left on the clock. They're going to be throwing the execute smokes into B. They've drawn that rotation off jungle, and now they're starting to walk up mid. I do like this approach from Chiefs.
Yep, Zeph is the lurker pretty much, and it looks like he is just trying to be an absolute nuisance. He's done his role. He stayed alive as well. It's all down to Hats to try to hold the A-bomb site on his lonesome, and you should suspect he's going to get cleared out very soon. Great round from Chiefs, so they're going to get the bomb plant down successfully, and it's just going to be a save coming out from Renegades.
Yeah, they're already showing good signs. I'm liking this approach from Chiefs. They got that man advantage, just not letting Renegades take that banana control. They definitely took their time, just waiting for the aggression to come out in that 4-on-5 from Renegades, playing anti-flash towards banana, maintaining that control, waiting in middle for anyone to peek top middle off the back of a flash or anything like that. And then as they ran down the clock, just throwing the utility towards B, drawing that extra rotation, and then going for the high percentage wrapping through jungle, which is usually where, you know, it's usually the location that when the CTs start to get a little bit lower and the body count will be left open, or there will be gaps in the defense to exploit. And they wrap through jungle and they punish Hats, who's just sitting in the pit with an MP9. It's a good first round. Look, I'm not going to get too excited just yet. They do survive with 5 players because the fact is that Renegades obviously did not have the weapon, all the weaponry that they were looking for. Sure, they had the utility, sure, they have the money in the bank, but it's a handful of Famouses and MP9s. I'm going to wait to see at least an AWP on Sicko and some M4s before I decide that Chiefs is really going to look quite impressive on this T side. But so far, so good.
Yep, no complaints, but now they have to verse a better buy coming out from Renegades. No AWP still in the hands of Sicko just yet, as once again it's going to be the Nana fight. This time around, a lot of damage being incurred from the T's, and Soju will go down to that HE grenade. Zeph as well, 21 HP. Nana control has been, or top Nana, successfully gained by the CTs as Dexter's just challenging. That's an interesting off angle for sure.
Yeah, and that's gone a lot better for Renegades. You can see they've invested that extra body over there after the last round when they were essentially just trying to 2v3 in that part of the map. They've already made the adjustment. They've already thrown some different utility and invested some more HE grenades into that part of the map, and it's worked out a lot better for them. So you can see already the adaptation within a round so quick from Renegades, and it's worked out well. See if Chiefs can do any more damage or try to turn around this 2-on-4. Walking up bracket, Sicko on a very nice off angle here.
Oh, pushes in just at the right time, or the wrong time, should I say. And Malta can't really double down. 2 entries working in the favor of the Chiefs. It's all down to Hats, who's just going to be lurking in the apartments area. Surely the T's are going to be suspecting this. A lot of utility for both Humongous and Vexite use as well. So you can see that Molly going to be dropped over at that pit area. Bomb plant deep. And Hats is going to peek out the right time. Gunshot from Vexite means that his position has been compromised. So at the end of it, some nice entries for Chiefs, but they just can't hold on to the bomb.
With 5 players surviving, though, as well as the bomb plant, that's going to be plenty of money for Chiefs to reinvest in the next round. And they've really given a bit of damage to that Renegades economy. It's going to be expensive for them to reinvest in this round. It's going to have to be multiple guns dropped over.
I like this jump up. This position is something very different that you normally see.
Yeah, it can sort of get punished if the other team's expecting that boost. You know, obviously you have a bit of air inaccuracy there, but it's a nice creative play. Now having AWPs for both sides. Only 2 players over towards this B side of the map this time for Renegades. Already that smoke being invested on that sandbags molly. But these HE nades have really been the difference maker for Renegades. Both of these last 2 rounds for the Nana control, they've inflicted significant damage to the T's as they try to take this banana control, but it has been taken nonetheless. Bananas established for Chiefs. Let's see if they are going to continue moving through the map, if they are going to take some control of bracket.
Oh, Chiefs have taken apartments so far, double peeking to make sure that the AWP is not going to be in play in apartments, or that the double rifle setup's not going to be in apartments. Though you can see Dexter, he's looking to try to grab some information. Great flashbang coming out from Sicko to allow not only the pick onto Apoctod, but also the AWP being dropped as well. So Soju, he's low HP, so he's going to opt to pick it up. And with the control top mid, 45 seconds left, it is forcing Chiefs to go execute on this B bomb site.
See if they can make this 4-on-5 work. Starting to collapse. Molotov being exchanged there from Inns, and Malta's got 1 for 1.
Yep. But Inns is just going to stay alive for now. So even though they've lost bomb site control, HE grenade, perfect onto once again another low HP member. And now the spray's also coming through the smoke. Humongous is by himself. Inns trying to deter it, but flashbangs from everywhere. He's trying to hide in the smoke. That's not going to work, though. Renegades swarming the bomb site together. Once again, another bomb plant. So at least Chiefs have cash to play with, but they're not getting the rounds.
Yeah, I don't know if they're going to go for a buy in a round like this, especially you're looking at 3.4, 3.6. Probably just a half investment, maybe some pistols and armor. Something along those lines, I would imagine. See this play work out so many times for Renegades. Just a simple pop flash from Sicko on jungle side to send Dexter in. It's incredible how often just a $200 investment and a good sense for timing can yield a reward in a gun round for Renegades. Not to mention the excellent work they've been doing with the utility over towards Banana. Obviously, the smokes are being exchanged for the Molotovs, but it's really the HE grenades that are doing so much damage, and you could see the effects of that in the late round. So many spams through the smoke and follow-up HEs, making it difficult for Chiefs to get comfortable on that B bomb site.
Out comes the top bracket pass, and they're fast into jungle. Chiefs looking to maybe wrap around. That said, though, Incendiary Grenade's going to put a dent in their tracks, and now Inns has a lot of work to do, but Vexite, great shot for him. Means that it's all down to Malta now to hold the B bomb site. He's going to look to challenge early.
Just underarming a flash. You can see Chiefs are hard committing here. It is only Malta on his own, so if he doesn't pick the correct timing and doesn't defend this one correctly, a bit of a whiff spray has allowed Apokdud to win that fight. And now the rest of Renegades retaking in through Banana side.
And Humongous is in the perfect position, almost in the perfect position, but it's not going to work out. Vexite also can't really chip in to contribute any further in this one. But at least Zeph has an AK-47 to play with. Both players with rifles, and that's pretty sharp. But it's all down to Zeph right now, trying to transition. Not going to work out. Another retake, another successful bomb plant from Chiefs, but it just feels like it's a case of the same old. Renegades very close for some of their players' economy to be broken. And that was great from Chiefs, considering that was only a half investment.
Yeah, it's really good damage. I would have liked to see them play that one a little bit more together. They definitely were playing a little split up, especially some of those fights towards Banana and just out in the open towards main were given to Renegades a little bit easier than maybe they should have been. Maybe if Chiefs played a little bit more together in that 4-on-3, you could have seen them come away with that round. Regardless, though, it's a good effort. It's very, very good damage on the CT economy. And it's going to make turning around this half a little bit more possible here for the Renegades. Oh, that's a good damage exchange for both sides. And it looks like a bit of a different approach this time around for Chiefs. Very, very heavily set up towards bracket side this time around.
Trying to get Apokdud to do the dirty work, to do the dirty entries, but hasn't spotted out the leg of Dexter. He did step out a little bit earlier on, didn't find anything. But it looks like the mid players do have to back out a little bit as the defensive grenades have been dropped. But still a lot of time on the board for them to play with.
There's 4 players towards A here for Renegades. They really want to be fighting for bracket, and Dexter's definitely spotted a shoulder out there from Hugh.
He's also spotted out Vexite as well. Caught in no man's land, and Hugh can't really go out and trade it, even if he wants to.
Chiefs do it from this position. They've got this banana control, but that's about it. They've lost that man advantage. Hugh's really trying to poke and prod over toward Carpet side this time around. You're looking at the utility over towards B for Renegades. It's non-existent with this man advantage and how clean some of these retakes have been. Don't know that they'll be having any issues as the time starts to wander down. You do see the smokes expended on towards that B bomb site as well as some more utility, but really it's the play towards A that Chiefs are going for. They've already lost the bomb though.
Yeah, it's not going to work, especially when Dexter is on the case right now. Even as Humongous gets that, the bomb's been isolated away. Apokdud has to challenge Dexter, and still, there's just no time left whatsoever for Humongous to play with. I don't think he can even get to the bomb site, and he knows it. Trying to back out. CT's hard on the hunt. He's trying to save desperately, trying to hold on, but he goes down after time. No cash for Humongous. And it's just getting worse right now for Chiefs, as it looks like Renegades not even doing anything that special, just finding the timing.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the go there was from Chiefs. It looked very disjointed as the timer went down. It was a high concentration of player over toward the A side of the map, towards Carpet, towards Bracket. But as the timer started to trickle down, as you saw the counter utility come out time and time again for Renegades and their plans just continually being disrupted, it didn't feel like Chiefs really had a solid plan. And you did start to see players getting caught off guard right and left. Vexite just sort of caught out in the open towards Bracket, gives them the man disadvantage. And there's no real response from Chiefs after they lose that initial pick. They do just sort of wander around the map until they try to force their way into something again. Try to actually, in that gun round, force those smokes and the utility onto B and then wrap back through jungle side. But it's a hell of a lot harder to go for a play like that when you're down a man as opposed to up a man and when you don't have any control of Bracket.
Into the 8th we go, and Sicko looking to get aggressive on the angle, just falls off though. And I think that might have been a good thing, because Soju, he was in the position ready to go for it.
Full Nana control this time around for Renegades. No contest from Chiefs, who again very heavily set up towards this A side of the map. Soju's got the flash ready for dig side to be able to push through this Bracket smoke. Out it flies. And what's Chiefs going to be going for? It's a passive setup on this A bomb site for Renegades. You can see the additional player floating around to mine that jungle wrap. Malta's being left to spot information over towards Banana. So this is really the best setup possible for Renegades. You can see Sicko inching up on dig here, waiting for this pick in the mid-round, waiting for his opportunity to get a freebie. But Zeph, great crosshair placement, punishes that pick, and surely Chiefs move forward now into this A-bomb site.
Yep, Dexter staying hidden in a graveyard, though. Has to rely on a lot of the heavy lifting from Hat too. Oh, no, that's the bomb actually out in the open now, and the crossfire comes out. Dexter pops his head off just at the right time and gets 4 for his troubles as well. So even though Chiefs, they're able to get the first pick, they accelerate in the wrong areas, and Renegades, they punish them.
Yeah, some unfortunate mistakes coming out from the Chiefs, losing the bomb in carp there, and really just panicking, trying to force their way up dig off the back of that pick. Might have been a little bit better for them to slow it down there. I don't know. Can't really blame them. It's a little uncharacteristic to see a player playing towards graveyard there, and it was a very good counter flash coming in from jungle side to set up Dexter for that 4K. Regardless, though, trade potential should have been there and wasn't realised.
Out comes the top Nana fight. Holds up. Does manage to get traded out eventually, but still, there's Dexter that's just lurking around, dropping some defensive utility and making it difficult for the T's to contest any further. Shoulder pick comes out from Apoc Dud, but Dexter more than happy to fight it.
He's just looking for some damage. Already secured that 1 kill as well as the rifle off the back of it. You trying to get a little bit over-aggressive, poking out carpet there. Decent damage in towards mid from Vexire. He's actually continuing to push straight up dig side here. Well aware that Hats was spotted in pit previously.
Sicko missing quite a few shots, and now he's down low on HP as well as Apoc died to try to at least get a flank across. Doesn't work out. And Hats finally seeing some action, is going to be able to lock down this pit position with pretty big ease.
That's going to be 8-1 for Renegades. And I feel like any potential damage that Chiefs were starting to rack up in the earlier parts of the half is pretty irrelevant at this point. Renegades definitely have enough money in the bank to be able to put consecutive buys together. Chiefs very much hitting their full loss bonus at this point are going to have no problems putting buys together as long as they're continuing to put the bomb down, which, you know, has been pretty hit or miss for them thus far. Definitely would affect their utility if they're able to do that or not. And now you're just seeing this dominance over towards the B side of the map. Earlier on, Chiefs were really keen on contesting it, but it feels like Renegades has done a good job of kind of bullying them out of banana. Some of the fights starting to come back, as you see, just some grenades, some Molotovs, and simple flashbangs, trying to get Chiefs this banana control. It's a 1-for-1. I'd say that's pretty good for Chiefs, especially if they're able to establish control of that part of the map. They're going to be feeling pretty comfortable with that, especially with ins quite low at this point. So I'd say that's a win for the Chiefs, but this is where it gets difficult. When you're in these 4-on-4 situations, it's going to be pretty hard to maintain that map control at the same time as going back towards bracket side or something like that and going for some additional map control. So Chiefs, rather than going for anything like that, are just going to keep things nice and simple and just group up together and try to hit some part of the map. But again, Dexter's found a really good timing to go out and find some information as well as some damage. And I think this would be a pretty good mid-round push and a pretty good position for Hats to find himself in if he picks his timing right.
Yeah, the question is whether or not Vexite checks it. At least it's the low HP member that's going down. 2-on-2 on this A bomb site at the moment. Hat's going to be dancing around the yellow side, and Inns has managed to push his way around, denies a bomb plant, and actually picks up Soju as well. Doesn't matter how low on HP you are, you can still fight it out. Inns proves it. As Renegades, 8 rounds of difference.
And looking at Chiefs' money, that's the difference between putting the bomb down and not. There's really not much money for the utility there. On a lot of these players. Apoc Dud to afford that util has to go down to a Mach 10. 3 of the lads are very, very light on that utility, which on Inferno is going to be pretty difficult for you to fight that for that banana control if you don't have the utility to exchange with the CTs.
But you can see Renegades trying to stay one step ahead. Last couple of rounds, 3 people in a Nana. This one, only 2. Dexter back to the A bomb site nice and early on, looking to change things up.
Chiefs still poking and prodding at banana, realizing that there is no aggressive setup this time around from Renegades. They are playing back on the site. Dexter, again, looking pretty fearless, just peeking top mid, peeking top bracket.
Oh, that molly forces the T's to go out nice and early on, but they managed to get the entry, which is very, very solid work from them. In's also able to contribute a little bit further by doing some damage, and with Hugh just lurking over here at balcony, and he hasn't heard any of the rotation, or he's heard some of the rotations go back to CT, but Nana is relatively clear. This has to be a really good retake from Renegades for it to work out. 4 players on the bomb site, utilities coming out.
Forcing out Vexite, seeing if they can pick him, but he does manage to cross out of New Box alive with these 2 players at Barbecue. They really want to fight as the CTs come through main.
Yep, out comes a flashbang. The flashbangs are pretty good for the CTs, but Hatebok Dud, he's not been blinded out. Vexite's counter flashbang is a lot more effective, and it's all down to Sicko to try to find some damage and make it work, but Hatebok Dud's in the perfect position for this. Oh my goodness, the no-scope connects, but doesn't get the kill. Hatebok Dud stays alive with 4. Finally, Chiefs able to pick up another round. 2 rounds now on their T side, but Renegades, they can still buy back into this.
Yeah, plenty of money for them. Chiefs going to call attack. See if they can claw back some rounds towards the tail end of this half, because it's been a pretty one-sided one thus far, which is exactly what you'd be expecting out of a match like this. And again, like, it's a similar sort of problem that I'm seeing Chiefs have to a lot of these other teams. It's the fact that it feels like starting out on this T side of Inferno, when it's going to be one of your map picks against an opponent that's, you know, that you're not expected to beat, you can definitely be bullied out of the server on by a pretty experienced CT side team. You know, just not letting them have that banana control. You know, the peaks onto top mid, they're not allowing Chiefs to get comfortable to take the map control that they might be used to. And from that point, you really have to reevaluate your options and going towards your plan A, you know, B, C, D, if you even have them. Again, no banana control here for Chiefs. Soju just investing his utility, but it's not really getting him any control. And Renegades not really feeling too scared to just spam out the edge of that Olaf smoke. Instead, they're going to go towards this bracket side. Actually, good job to punish Dexter for that wide peek towards jungle side. And they're going to try and trap this A site.
Yeah, but Sicko is on the angle. Pressure not really coming out of apartments just yet. Finally, they're coming through. But Zeph's tanked a lot of damage. Hats can't pick him off as Sicko, or as Zeph pushes through to the bomb site. And Hat's in a very precarious situation as the bomb plant looks like it's going to be committed soon. Inns, though, has managed to sneak up through Diggity's side, isn't aware of another rifler being there, and it's all down to Malta, and Humongous closes out with a great shot up on balcony. Finally, Renegades, they've been pushed to the brink. They can't really invest in weapons at the moment.
Yeah, they're probably just going to take a couple of upgraded pistols into this round. That's a critical one for Chiefs to be winning. It's going to at least singular save the Renegades and put them in a position where essentially they win 2 rounds from winning that one, which is definitely going to buff up that round count, allowing them to get that 4. Maybe if they can push it to 5 or 6. A half that didn't look close at all, looked very, very one-sided, might be a little bit more forgiving if they can get rolling with the next half pistol.
At least get something on the board to buffer anything, but still a few Deagles and USPs out in play right now for Renegades as they're looking to just try to contain this A-bomb site from this apartment's position. But Apocdud looks like he's pretty wise to what's going on, and Humongous does well to hold on to the position relatively easily. Great patience coming out from Chiefs as they're able to punish the over-aggression of Renegades and fall back safely.
Yeah, so far so good. Only losing the 1 player. Have this A bomb site control pretty comfortably. Have given Inns an AK though. This is where, look, it's good for them to get those last 2 gun rounds. They've closed out this anti-eco, so avoided a few landmines, avoided getting shut out of the half completely. But this is where it's really up to the Chiefs to realize the potential space that they've created and actually try to get themselves 5 or 6 rounds, because otherwise you're going to see Renegades getting that 11-4 sort of scoreline. That's going to be a very, very dangerous state of affairs for the Chiefs actually trying to make this one competitive and bring it up to double digits, especially when you're trying to chase a deficit on the CT side. It can be quite hard to do so just due to the nature of the economy. All it takes once, you know, Renegades are up 11-4, let's say they get the pistol or something like that, and they get up to like 13 rounds. All it takes is 1 or 2 times where your economy gets broken on a long comeback, and all of a sudden you've lost the game. So this is where Chiefs need to give themselves that room for error, because they are quite a new team. There's a big liability for some gaps to be in this CT side defense on Inferno, so they definitely need that room for error. And they can earn it if they win one of these next couple of gun rounds.
Looking like Nana pressure early on once again Dexter's actually fallen out. Maltzer can't win that aim duel. Puts Zeph down very, very low. And at the same time, there was a fight happening at mid where Sicko peeks out the right time, finds the timing, and manages to make it work out.
Yeah, this fight is not going to be given up by Renegades. I have to say, Zeph's been doing a good job of just trying to keep Renegades players in check, going aggressive towards this B side of the map. Obviously, that time he's full white and trying to wield an AWP against Ins, and these counter flashes have just been a little bit too good. But at least for some of those initial opening duels, he's actually been doing a fairly good job of just winning that opening duel and keeping Renegades honest. Unfortunately, the larger majority of the time after multiple different duels, he's not winning them overall, but it's pretty easy to just get shut out of Nana entirely. Regardless though, Chiefs unfortunately have been shut out of that round entirely, and we'll have to try to buy up into this one. It's their last opportunity to get a round on the board and avoid that dangerous 11-4 scoreline in the next half. Especially because, you know, you're heading into the CT side against a T-side pistol. I feel like T-side pistols have been so one-sided for quite a while now. You know, it's quite easy to lose a CT side pistol nowadays if the other opponent throws a pretty good strat at you. So let's see what Chiefs are going to be doing here. Again, trying to contest Banana a little bit to, you know, some mediocre success. Now starting to group up in middle. Maybe they want to go for some brackets control because they know they don't really have the utility to be able to fight for Banana.
But Sicko's still on the angle, which is always going to be a deadly thing. Interesting that Renegades aren't really recontesting Nana at this moment. Out comes the pop flash, so at the very least, Chiefs, they have this top bracket control.
Yeah, they've pushed the CTs back, at least momentarily, but Renegades are never really pushed back for long. They all the time like to just re-aggress, like to look for information, stay active around the map, and you've seen the pop flash come out from Hats to enable Dexter to re-peek bracket, get some information, re-smoke middle. And it looks like Chief's going to go for another similar approach. The smoke's towards the B side of the map, and they will just be heading out of carpet, try to cause some kind of reaction, some kind of a rotation that they can punish. Re-smoke on towards Banana and carpet with about 33 seconds to go. Dexter's just straight push down mid, threading the eye of the needle. He's pretty convinced this is going to be a B-side play. Oh, they've heard the footsteps.
Getting taken out by Zeph there, but Hats is able to just stay hidden at pit. They've spotted out the bomb as well, and Humongous now stuck in a terrible position. 10 seconds left on the timer. Zeph really needs to make his way over to the bomb site. Great shot coming up from Humongous, but all for naught. 11-4 the scoreline as we head to a halftime break.
Make it ooze with the unthinkable. Don't stop till you come first. Life too unpredictable. Take control of what you're worth. Wasting time's forgivable, but nobody wants to grow. It's time for the original to come and break through, 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 come and break through. Take a race, don't hold back. Get yourself back on track. Keep on moving, don't stop, don't stop, don't stop. Let your senses guide you. Shake it up, inspire you. Do anything you want to, but don't stop, don't stop.
Renegades now on the T side, looking to close out their first map of the series.
All right.
They do have the kit to play with as well on the CT side, so.
Yeah, 3 sets of util. Making their way straight up banana, no fear. Nice nade coming out from Humongous. Trying to play retake on this B-bomb site with just a kit. See if he can tap any heads. The rest of Chiefs very much set up around this bracket area, but won't be seeing any terrorists until they probably complete that B-bomb site retake, I would imagine, because that's where Renegades are starting to head.
Yep, doesn't look like they're going anywhere else. 2 sets of smoke grenades coming out, and Humongous going to be looking for the timing through the smoke grenade, as he's going to be tapping away, at least picks off one. So finding about 25% of the success that NAF did. Still pretty good, nevertheless, as now 5-on-4. Chiefs, numbers advantage. Nana going to be the first contest point, and Sicko needs to be able to fight and win 2 duels. Hats in the meantime still holding on. Construction and Nana fight happening consecutively. At least Renegades hold on to Nana. They lose Construction, but Dexter out first. Oranges can't really make it work. Malta cleans up at close range, and this just goes from bad to worse for Chiefs.
Yeah, this is the nightmare scenario where you see them pick up the pistol. At least on Inferno, like, you can force on the second round for the CT side. I don't know if Chiefs are necessarily going to want to go for something like that, but it can be a little bit more high percentage than some other maps. They are just going to full save.
They opted to go for utility in their buy round.
So this is the problem, though. Like, you're looking at the 13-round scoreline for Renegades, 13-4 deficit that you're trying to play against the Chiefs. They have really very little error to work with. They potentially can get reset maybe once on this CT side or lose 1 gun round, and that's the only room for error that they have, 1. Against the best team in the region with a brand new roster. I don't think it's really happening here for the Chiefs, unfortunately. Let's see how far they can grind it back, though.
Flashbang comes out to allow the progression over into Nana, but Hats has managed to draw out his arm at the right time, but still so many members there. Ins with the MAC-10, as well as a couple of grenades and shots from Sicko warns the CTs away.
You have Dexter just creeping up dig in response, saw a lot of CTs over towards that B side of the map, so they're just going to explore the side that's not occupied with angry USPs running at them. Just one pretty chill USP hanging out on the balcony on a nice sunny day.
Very interesting angle being held by Zeph as well, but very difficult to land the shots that count, and eventually Dexter's going to spot him out. And it's all been for naught.
It looks pretty silly for Zeph to hold his fire for that long, but realistically, the only way you're really going to get any work done with the USP in that scenario is if you're going to wait for the Ts to stand still for a couple seconds, give yourself highest potential to maybe kill the bomb planner or get 1 to 2 frags on some players that aren't really looking at you. Maybe even get yourself a ninja. Either way, unfortunately, holds it a little bit too long and doesn't get himself anything. And Hugh is just holding on to a MAC-10 in towards the ruins.
Has a smoke grenade as well, so maybe a potential for Chiefs to play around with that one in the next one.
So, looking at this 3rd round buy, this is where things can sometimes get tricky on Inferno because you really want to keep an eye. I don't know who's going to be playing B for Chiefs, but you want to keep an eye on what kind of utility they're going to have access to with this, you know, 4.5 to 5k sort of scoreline. See who rolls out in that direction. what kind of util they're working with. It is going to be 3 players. Vexite hasn't got any flashes. Hugh's going to hold on to that Mach 10 to get full utility. So definitely some limited utility in that part of the map. See what they're going to be able to do with it. Doesn't look like Renegades are particularly interested in taking banana control at the start of the round here.
And look, Dex has seen all those grenades and he knows that, okay, sure, Chiefs are taking Nana control, but here's the thing, Renegades have barely invested any utility whatsoever in Nana. They can go back and take it if they want, or just man-fight it over out at apartments.
Yeah, I think it's just a carpets bust here. See if Zeph's going to be anti-flash for long enough.
Well, Zeph is not blinded at all, as a matter of fact, and he's able to stay alive and spray down 2 people. The crossfire's ready for Chiefs. Dexter, how does Dexter do that with the UMP? Oh my goodness, still... Renegades don't take that round. Chiefs at least staying alive, but losing 3 guns means it's going to be costly for them as Renegades can try to force their way back into it. But what was that coming out from Dexter?
It was absolutely filthy spray control. Regardless, though, after getting that many kills, particularly with that spray control, Renegades, they felt like they've inflicted enough damage to the economy of the Chiefs to make them resettable when they would be correct. Are going to full invest in this round. 3 rifles being purchased up, as well as just that those 2 Tech 9s. Here's the full control of Banana there. Soju charges down, a lot of damage inflicted to Hats as well. What's the play going to be for Renegades, though? Nice job holding down that A side of the map from Zeph in that pit position. You know, you can look at the scoreline and say no one on Chiefs has particularly been playing well, but it definitely has been Zeph who's been the standout for me so far. Contesting that banana control is not an easy feat against this team, and he's been looking like he's making a decent job of it, and then doing not too badly towards that pit side of the map. Hugh's having a decent game for himself as well. So this is why I'm quietly confident for this Chiefs roster going forward. I feel like they've got a lot of pieces that can potentially make them pretty competitive. It's just about putting them together correctly. Renegades taking this banana control, working their way through the map, but with 45 seconds on the clock, they've got to be deciding what they want to be going for. And similar to that Chiefs approach in a couple of rounds, it will be the smokes towards this B side of the map, trying to pull an additional rotate while the rest of the team heads towards this A site. Dexter holding this flash to send Hats in, and just leaving after.
Yep. Hats is low though on HP, so actually makes his way into CT spawn. This is pretty good at the moment because now the T's, as they're attacking forward, no, Hats does go down through the smoke. Humongous realizes what's going on, and now out comes the crunch, but the crossfire is very, very good from the CTs. They've done a lot of damage early on. It's a very good cleanup for Chiefs as they're starting to put the rounds on the board, as well as guns in their hands as well. SMGs upgraded to rifles.
Yeah, good response on that A side of the map. You saw the one-way in pit from Zeph really gave Renegades pause for thought for diving into the site, him playing those off angles. It was a really nice nade from Soju onto Dig side from jungle there that really slowed Renegades down, did a hell of a lot of damage and softened them up enough for those MP9s to do the damage that they needed to close that round out. So far so good for Chiefs on this CT side, and now getting pretty aggressive actually in this edge. Eco just wide peeking this second mid with the MP9s. Pretty brave stuff from them. Has been working out so far, but don't want to be losing any additional guns.
I don't think any more guns should be lost from here. I think have spotted out Hats earlier on. Maybe Zeph goes down. Maybe APOC dud.
5 alive. That's exactly what you want to be seeing. Look at all those numbers in the bank account for the Chiefs players. That definitely gives them a little bit more room for error on this CT side. Renegades, it's not like they're close to match point yet. They've still got, 1 or 2 more rounds before they really threaten Chiefs with the end of the map. So as long as Chiefs have, 1 or 2 more rounds worth of money in their bank account, which at this point they kind of do, at least 1, if not 2 on some of their players, they're going to be feeling a little bit comfortable, but there's still a bit of a deficit to be chasing here for the Chiefs.
A lot of early utility, once again, coming out from Chiefs to take this Nana control. Some great grenades to force ins, not only back, but also forcing them to take a bit of damage as now Renegades take this top brackets control.
They have got bracket. You can see Chiefs cheating that extra person over towards the A side of the map, while Humongous is left towards B. He's still got a smoke to fall back on, so as long as he doesn't overextend and get caught on this jump spot, he should be feeling pretty comfortable here to hold on to this B side of the map for Chiefs. Now he does spot out that T and falls back just in time. He's played this pretty much to perfection, even holding his smoke an extra couple of seconds, and Soju gets a rotate over towards this side of the map. So Renegades, They've forced their way into bracket, which has been retaken nicely by Apoc Dart on that dig line. He's re-smoked middle. Every time that Renegades moves off a part of the map, you see Chiefs, they're not afraid to go and retake it, go and find that information. And Renegades, again, after going back and taking Nana, now go back and take bracket again for the second time in this round. And there's limited information here for Chiefs. They don't know what's going on at Nana. They don't know what's going on at A. And now you see Dexter being left towards that jungle side to wrap maybe into CT or control those A rotations while the rest of Renegades moves into this B bomb site.
But with 20 seconds left, it all comes down to how well the CTs can go. You still have Humongous, who's playing that coffins area. Flashbang comes forward, but Soju can't really use it, unfortunately. And there it is, B bomb site players just absolutely deleted. And now Dexter on the hunt as well on the opposite side. He's not going to hear any of the rotations. He's going to try and get few guns out of those hands of the CTs.
Oh, that round was actually phenomenal out of Renegades. Just like it didn't, it might have seemed like not that impressive the way that they just busted that B site towards the end and got 2 entries. It wasn't anything special, like just hitting a couple nice shots. But really, the way that they moved around the map, the way that they conceded and retook map control multiple times in towards bracket, in towards Nana, it's just a masterstroke. Now Dexter trying to trade down his rifle for one of the CTs. Not sure it's necessarily worth it at this point. I mean, you're looking at Renegades, didn't have too much cash in the bank. We'll be able to, even just losing one gun, drop a gun over, so it's not going to be too expensive. But I'm not sure Renegades really has that much money to be throwing away just yet. Either way, like I said, Chiefs, they really earned their place in this half, winning multiple rounds pretty cleanly, which has given them the money to be able to recover from that loss, as well as smartly saving a couple of guns. And now they're going to this double AWP. Over on the side of Renegades, though, forcing their way, blistering pace straight up Banana, but good counter grenades coming out from Renegades. Don't know where that flick was meant to go to. I think somewhere in Narnia.
Apoc Dart has always been a bit of a magician, so ends up in always the strangest places. Instead of the line, the witch in the wardrobe, it's just Apoc Dart in his trusty fountain. Speaking of fountain, out comes the B-side attack. It's a great nade, but Humongous still able to stay alive. And Vexite trying to chip in and do some damage. Gets a dink off, but can't find the killing blow. Still favourable for the Chiefs. Numbers advantage, a lot of utility for them to play with as well. But Malta lurking around. Can he find Soju? That's the real question, and yes, he can. As the bomb plant goes down, he needs to make his way back to the B bomb site. Dexter and Sicko trying to hold on desperately, trying to cut off the CT rotation. And they bought enough. Really,
really well-timed molly. There's the retake smoke cutting off half of Renegades. Actually going to nade Dexter. And he peeks straight into Zeph, a little bit movement speed, so a bit of a misplay. And now Renegades actually caught behind this banana smoke in a pretty difficult position.
Out comes the tap on the smoke, and they're trying to stick the defuse. Humongous, has he gotten away with it? He has! And he's also got the AWP as well.
It's actually insane that the lowest HP player is the one that goes for that defuse there, but, I mean, end of the day, out of how many bullets that was, maybe 20, 30 bullets fired all around him, probably perfectly traced his outline, and he does manage to get that defuse off. But the problem is that it is very expensive for Chiefs. Losing that many players has costed them all the money that they had, whereas Renegades with the bomb plant with a little bit of loss bonus are going to be able to put together a buy here and do actually have a little bit of money in the back pocket of a couple of their players. So this is a must-win for Chiefs, because if they get their money broken here, then they might be finding themselves pretty broke heading up against match point.
But similarly, Chiefs have done well enough to hold off against this point. They've done well enough in the early to mid-round to get that advantage forward. Yes, that round was a little bit lucky, I would say. Humongous staying alive, Ali G'ing his way through the smoke. You don't see that every single day. And out comes the top brackets control, but you've got Zeph there alongside with Apoc Dart, ready to flash it out. And you don't see that every single day. Chiefs winning these engagements so cleanly.
Yeah, again, it's the combo of Soju and Zeph over towards this A side of the map. Been pretty difficult for Renegades to deal with. Soju walking through carpet, maybe a little over-enthusiastic in a 1-on-5. Very untradeable in a position like this, and they don't really have the money to be able to throw away guns like that. Lose one more gun, and this is getting a little too expensive just up against Sicko, so it's a nice work from Vexite to just put him in the dirt and secure Chiefs their 9th round, which is going to be an expensive one for Renegades. You can see, like I said, only 3 of their players had that extra money in the back pocket, so 2 of them are pretty broke here, and they will have to take the singular save just to be able to even up the cash. It's not an easy not an easy anti-eco for Chiefs, though. There is a fair bit of investment here. Pistols and armor definitely can get you across the line in the current state of the meta. Renegades, they're going to go for a pretty high percentage play. Grouping up towards carpet, probably just going for a bit of a cart bust. Probably Sicko throwing a few flashes over chimney. There's 4 players for Chiefs over here, though. They've got full information and control of Banana. Sicko just going to be trying to throw some utility, keep those rotations honest, and you do see the result of that. Vexite is actually trending back towards, through Speedway, back towards that B side of the map. But just one flashbang getting that extra rotation. Apoc done. Nice timing to peek through jungle. The rest of Renegades just committing hard into this A-bomb side, but again, it's Zeph and Soju shutting that one down with ease. Not even a single kill for Renegades. They're looking very, very solid on this dig crossfire. Or rather, dig pit crossfire.
Yeah, I mean, all you just allow Soju to do, it's that you might know where Soju is, but all he needs to do is just sit in a position and just tell him, go kill.
He's a turret.
Yep, and then Zeph's the complete opposite. He's the one with like the tank tracks. You tell him to move around, go frag over here, go kill over there, and he's doing it. Renegade's actually taking a tactical timeout. They're realizing that this is starting to bleed on a little bit too much. Chiefs getting a little bit too close for comfort. Sure, there's still a few rounds for Renegades to play with, but this is a very good look for Chiefs so far.
I think it's just impressive the way that some of these individuals are able to multi-frag. You're seeing the individual skill and the potential of some of these players, and those are the kind of skills that will give you these more one-sided rounds in your favor, and those can really boost the CT economy. Every kill that Renegades is able to claw away from you on that T side is going to make things difficult for you and have a bit of a domino effect, even if you're picking up rounds going forward in terms of the economy. So being able to just quickly close out rounds 5-0 and have these really solid crossfires that work very effectively is going to be a big plus in the Chiefs camp.
Yep, Nana Fight's going to come out as Inns just double down. Finally, a bit of a change up. Humongous has a lot of work to do just to hold on. At least brings one back.
Apoc Dud trending back towards that jungle side. Don't want to be over-rotating in a situation like this, but Chiefs, they know they're at a deficit. Have to continue re-aggressing, and it's Humongous. Fearless as always. Maybe he should have had pause for thought there.
Or Zeph caught out nearly in no man's land, trying to drop utility desperately. Is able to do so, but Malta's been picked, or Malta gets the pick off on the opposite site, which means that they know that the A-bomb site very, very clean. So just like that, Renegades, 2 entry frags coming out from Inns, and they break the Nana hold. And I think Inns might be able to spot out Zeph as well. There it is.
He's actually been pretty phenomenal on this map, even if you look at some of the games in Road to Rio. He was pretty impressive at cracking open Banana on the T side. And he's continuing doing that job. Bit fortunate to find a double spray down there. But regardless, it's rounds like that that are going to put Renegades over the top here. Chiefs, with some of the clean rounds that they've been afforded, again, I'll be going on and on and on about it, but they are actually able to put together a good buy here when Renegades gets match point. Makes all the difference rather than having that 2 to 3k sort of scoreline where you have a sort of bank account rather, where you have to go for the MP9s, you have to go for pistols and armor. Still, this time, it's going to be full utility. It's going to be AWPs. So far, so good with the damage, though. Zeph's down to 7 HP. Some of these B players getting softened up a little bit. Makes things a little bit more difficult for the Chiefs.
Yeah, I think Zeph was trying to aggress over towards apartments, but that spray from the AK-47 copying him in the unhelmeted head.
Got to protect your noggin.
That's always the age-old argument of, do you spend the 350 as a CT, or do you not? In this case, you probably should have.
Maybe.
Cheaper than going back and getting some Nurofen, that's for sure. Regardless of how it is, now it looks like Renegades are looking to attack over to the B-bomb site.
Yeah,
no control over A.
Meanwhile, Malta's just been throwing utility towards bracket, try to keep the rotations honest. Push out from Vexite, times it very well. A double spray down off the back of that flash from Humongous, who's going to position himself in towards Emo corner with the AWP and see if he can get some more frags for himself.
Accelerating, and he will be able to get the first flick. Drops the smoke and stays alive as the rest of his boys are coming over. That's Apoc done at close range, flicking on the head. Looks like Chiefs will be able to at least stay alive for another one. Unless Sicko has anything to say about it. He's going to try and sneak closer, but his position finally compromised. He's trying to charge in through the smoke as Humongous just playing around. Out comes the rest of the forces, but they're lining up for Sicko at the moment. Zeph is able to bring it back with the A4. Recover a bit of madness. He was on 7 HP. You saw a realm where he would get the spray down, and that forces it to a one-on-one with a bit of time left.
But those are the kind of expensive rounds. You're going to have to see the reinvestment come out for Chiefs. They're going to chuck a bit of attack pause. Renegades definitely have the cash to be able to reinvest here, so the pressure never really lets up for the Chiefs. I'm seeing a pretty nice performance. 100 ADR out of Zeph. You love to see it. Stepping up against one of the best teams in the country. You know what's interesting, Kevin? You know, I noticed that you actually retired from commentating, and when you came back, you were pretty bad. But Zeph retired from playing, and he's coming back, and he's dropping 100 ADR right now. What do you have to say about that?
Not bad. Good size. That's all I've got to say. Man's good looks. Great fragging ability. Out comes an Ana. Challenges Inns going straight through the Molotov. No fear whatsoever.
It's actually the half buyout from Renegades. They had enough money to be able to put a buy together, but they were a little bit split up in terms of how much cash they had across the board. I think one of the players might have had like 3.3k, and the rest of them had enough for rifles and armor. They prefer to just take this more passive approach to the money, even out their cash, while still getting themselves a competitive enough buy to actually put a round across the board with the pistols and armor. Early pick goes the way of Chiefs, and Hugh looking pretty good on that secondary ult towards the B side. Now you see Renegades getting a wriggle on straight through jungle side. Nice counter grenade from Apoc Dud, who's trying to keep himself alive, as long as he doesn't run into a pillar.
Yep. He's playing around water source right there, which is never a good thing for Apoc Dud. He's going to go down.
Playing a little bit too close for the fountain. Unfortunately, he's
There's a tap
slipped over.
there. A very, very small fountain, but those are the fountains that you expect Apoc Dud to kind of fall into.
Yep.
So Renegades have top brackets control and an AWP to play with,
Yeah,
but the crossfire set up from that pit as well, from pit and graveyard. So
these are the kind of rounds Renegades wins all the time. But you are right. It's big pit and graveyard crossfire for the Chiefs. Zeph actually repositioning there. Thought he would be safe, but he jumps up onto the barrels and gets himself picked by Sicko. Now it's all on Soju, who's getting spammed through the wall. Does get taken out by Dexter, who's on 1 HP. The re-smoke on Tomoto. They're going to plant backside for big pit, for graveyard. That nade definitely could have actually done a tremendous amount of damage to Sicko, but a little bit too short.
Patience now from both CTs. They're going to be challenging up Diggity side. Surely should have heard the falling body of Sicko.
Oh.
But Sicko flicks it on the first one, gets the wall tag as well, and the no-scope headshot to clean up map number 1 for Renegades. 16-11 over Chiefs. We'll be going to a post-map analysis after the break. Don't go anywhere.